For today, in the name of freedom, we take the battle to them.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a very random review. I didn't really have many plans to watch this movie, but just yesterday, I was in a bit of a war movie mood, and I saw Michael Fassbender's beautiful face when I was looking on Amazon Prime, and I was like, you know what? Inglorious Basterds. Cool, let me watch this. I had absolutely no idea about the actors in this movie. The only things that I knew about it was that it was set during World War II. I feel like it's fine to mention his name, given that in this movie, it's a fictional character. Hitler was there, of course, and Michael Fassbender is in this movie. That is all I knew about Inglorious Basterds. I didn't know Brad Pitt was in it. I didn't know that Tarantino directed it. Nothing. And if I'm being brutally honest, the only reason that I clicked on this movie was to see Michael Fassbender. Oh, you can imagine how I felt when the bar scene happened. I was sort of expecting it to be a very serious movie, especially after that first chapter of when I forgot his name, Hans, that's it. When Hans did come looking for the hidden Jews, and I think that this scene really sort of sets up my main gripe with this movie. And honestly, it's not this movie in particular, but it is sort of all Tarantino's movies that I've seen that I'm just not a fan of, and that is the use of humor. This movie starts off with such a gut punch. Obviously, it's World War II, he's hunting the Jews, it's a very serious matter. Even the scene itself is very, very tense, especially when they do go below the floorboards and they show that this guy is hiding Jews in his house. But they end up getting killed anyway, and you sort of are sitting there being like, holy shit, this movie is going to be dark as hell. And it just doesn't end up being that. I mean, I'm grateful that the movie was not boring. I was never bored at any point, but I didn't know how to feel throughout the film, because you would have certain things that seem like they're supposed to be taken seriously, and then you have moments that are like supposed to be funny, I assume. Like, the movie is listed as a war/action movie, but I don't know how to feel about it. I was disappointed, if I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like you could have removed anything that wasn't deadly serious from this movie, and I would have liked it 10 times more. Now, granted, it is a war film, so any other war movie set during World War II probably would be exactly what I wanted. Maybe I just clicked the wrong film. But yeah, there really wasn't any sort of character in this movie that I was actually attached to. Even the girl who's like the survivor from the beginning, I didn't really care for her. I liked her plan. It was a smart plan, and I mean, it ended up working. But especially when you go through the whole thing of the Bastards. I mean, the movie is called Inglorious Bastards, but this whole thing with the Bastards of going there, trying to sneak in and then explode the thing is also just sort of kind of pointless, because the cinema is going to explode anyway. Also, look, the accent could very much be like that, but I really did not like Brad Pitt in this movie. The accent, I think, was just ridiculous. It seemed like cartoonish. His whole character was just a cartoon, which, again, compared to other Tarantino movies, is just the kind of movies he does. I just don't get his movies. Like last year I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Didn't really enjoy that much. The only scene that I really, really enjoyed was the ending of when, all the kids just get absolutely blasted to pieces. Even the one thing that I was really, really interested in with this movie was the main villain, Hans. I think that he was a good villain until his last couple scenes where he starts like breaking character and again starts acting like too cartoonish. Editing Shabir here. I just want to jump in and say that no matter what I say about Hans, he is an amazing villain. I still stand by what I said, that I don't really like how he sort of got a little giddy at the end, like with the whole bingo thing. It didn't really feel like him to me, but the idea of what he was doing was very smart. It was a very clever idea. It just the execution of it didn't really wow me. But I think that's just a me thing because everyone else seems to love this movie. So carry on, Pashave. I absolutely hated that because he was he had such a presence to him because, of course, what he does. Of course, I'm not going to say that Hitler should have been the main villain. I mean, he obviously he's, who he was. So I'm not going to get into that. But in terms of this movie and the writing of this movie, this guy was the main villain. It's like Darth Vader in Empire Strikes Back. Well, okay, well, no, maybe not Empire Strikes Back, but maybe A New Hope. He's the main villain of that movie. But of course, that he's working for the Emperor. The Emperor isn't in this movie. So, from what I remember anyway. I feel like I could have worded that analogy better, but you sort of get what I'm trying to say, I hope. And also, while we're on that topic, this Hitler was not what I expected because I thought that the Hitler I was going to see was a completely different guy. I'm sure some of you may have seen it after flooding the homepage after 13 years. Is Hitler it's Gangnam Style but with Hitler from some sort of show or movie? That's the Hitler I thought that was in this movie. Now, obviously, I want to preface this because I don't want to sound like I'm insensitive. Obviously, what he did in real life is, of course, one of the worst things that has ever happened to humanity. But I think that anyone interested with history and, does like to learn about that sort of stuff can agree that, they could have done better with how they wrote his character here. I mean, he's barely a character, to be fair. He has 3 scenes. But still, he's not, obviously, you can't look at it and not think of what happened in real life. You know what the man was in real life. You can't just have him be like a background character. So I absolutely hated him in this movie. Not because he was a well-written villain, but because he was just so dumb. It looked like a scary movie version of Hitler. Like, the guy that they cast did not fit at all. He looked nothing like him. The mustache looked ridiculous. The fucking, he was too old. He was way too old. And I just really didn't like how he looked or how he acted. There was really nothing good about how they wrote his character here. Again, I'm saying all of this. I just watched this movie just because, okay? I don't know what it was meant to be. I don't know if it's meant to be funny, but yeah. I don't know how the tone's supposed to be. But as far as just a movie I decided to watch, the tones that they chose were absolutely god-awful. Like, the Hitler is a good example. I don't know if Hitler here was meant to be funny or what. Because it was just so dumb. But now let me just get to, the thing that I was so excited for with this movie, and that is Michael Fassbender. Of course, I didn't spend the entire movie just going, oh my god, where's Michael Fassbender? Where's Michael Fassbender? Because it only came into my mind when I saw the guy that plays Zemo in Captain America Civil War. He played the acting soldier guy, right? The one that was obsessed with our main blonde woman. I saw him and I was like, dude, that's fucking Zemo. And then it came to my mind. I was like, oh yes, Michael Fassbender. Where is he? Then when he finally showed up, I was like, yes, my man. And then he has 3 scenes and then he just fucking dies. They don't even show his body. He just dies in a shootout. I was so upset because I love Michael Fassbender so much, especially in X-Men. And that's really what I found funny here is in X-Men First Class, of course, he played, I wouldn't say he wasn't a German, but you know what I mean. He was under the oppression of the Nazis. And that's basically his entire character, So after going from such a tragic backstory like that, with World War II, you get to this movie where he has to pretend to be German. to like try and fit in with the Nazis. Obviously, the movies are not connected at all. You know, of course, I know that. I'm not an idiot. Well, I am, but not in this context. But I've seen the scene so many times in the last couple of days of him saying like "Dreiglass" or whatever he says, and the guy just looks at him, you know, and I was like, what is the context of the scene? And then I realized, oh, he probably, you know, messed up the accent or something. But then they explain later in the movie that he did the regular 3. The German 3 is to use your thumb, index finger, and middle finger. That's how you do the 3. And I always wondered, because I love watching America's Got Talent, and even though she's not in this season, Heidi, you know, I always wondered, why does she do her 3 like that? And then this movie taught me that's how Germans do the 3. So at least I learned something. But yeah, that was a good scene. I quite enjoyed that scene. But unfortunately, this movie just didn't really do much for me. I was never really a person who liked war movies, but I think that I would like to see more serious ones than this. You know, I'm not a history freak. I don't like put up like boards and stuff and put the strings and the pins and all this to see the timeline of everything. I'm not one of those people. I just sort of find history interesting. You know, not in school, obviously. That's why I dropped history. But it's fun as a hobby. I think a lot of people agree. It's fun as a hobby. It's not fun when you're forced to learn it. But yeah, I mean, that's just my general thoughts on this movie. It was a disappointment. It wasn't boring, but it's just not the movie that I signed up for. You know, I click on a movie about World War II. I don't want it to feel like it's trying to make me laugh. Oh yeah, also we of course get the Tarantino feet scene. As soon as she pulled the shoe out of Hans's coat, and he says, "Show me your foot," I was like, "Oh fuck, this is a Tarantino movie." I forgot. But yeah, ultimately, this was sort of like a nothing burger for me. It wasn't bad, it wasn't great, but it's just like in the middle, you know. You'll find its placement when I do my ranking everything I watched in 2025, whenever that video may come out. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. That's just my initial thoughts on Inglorious Basterds. I think I'd like to watch a couple YouTube videos, you know, see people's reactions to it, see their thoughts on it. But as of right now, it just sort of felt like nothing to me, and my life hasn't really changed that much since watching it. What I would appreciate is if you guys could recommend me some great, serious World War II movies. But yeah, I know I'm like 16 years late to the party, but I finally watched it, so please let me know what you guys thought of Inglorious Basterds, just anything and everything. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, and if you did enjoy this video, then please leave a like, subscribe, and goodbye.